Welcome back, y'all. It's your boy, Kane Crowder, back again with another Untold Gems about the history and the entire story of American history. The schools don't teach us the entire stories. They mostly tell us the perspective of generally white, male perspective. I'm here to give you each side, every side, and highlight the imperfections. Today's topic is about the subject known as lynching. Most people have no idea what was the main motive of lynching, how drastically it happened, and how things happen with lynchings. Number one, lynchings happen really post-slavery. Why? Because the blacks won their freedom, earned their freedom through the fighting of the Civil War. Most people don't realize that lynchings only happen to wealthy black Americans. Let me repeat that again. Lynchings were done to a wealthy, influential, beneficial, working, and business owner type of black Americans. Why? Because whites who were inferior and white supremacists wanted to let the black community know they still could be touched. It's an awesome book I recommend everyone read. 100 Years of Lynching. 100 years. Over 7,000 victims. There's also a museum in Montgomery, Alabama that touches the history of lynching that only came about in the last 10 years. Lynchings happened across this country due to white Americans feeling inferior primarily. You saw it a lot with business owners who could stand up for themselves, fight for themselves, and build for their communities. You saw lynchings being done as a land grab. What do I mean by that? So if you had a property, you were unwilling to sell, you worked it with your family, and you had it throughout history, the white community in that area would lynch you and take your land. Most people do not understand that the police never prosecuted lynchings. Lynchings were a family fair event. What do I mean by that? People would literally drive, meet up in a county, let together, and take photos in front of lynched black bodies. One incredible story, let me stop using the word incredible. One horrific story that I read while in the book, 100 Years of Lynching. Somebody had an argument with a white person and they were lynched. Think about this for a second. I'm working in my community. I'm actively providing for my family. And just because you don't like the tone of my voice, you could take my life. Let that marinate. They took the lives of black Americans who had an indifference to them. The history of lynching in this country is so undertaught and so under-discussed, it is almost mind-boggling. Lynching was a spectacle, y'all. They would castrate men, women, and children. It was a psychological warfare. What do I mean? It put in the type of mindset that you do not question white people. You do not worry about what they say. The lynching victims were done to males in the families. So think about if you had your father, y'all, and he was lynched. What would happen to your mother and their family? It was a psychological barriers that many black men still deal with to this day. The horrific factors of their ancestors being lynched, and nothing was done against it. Many people that were lynched on court steps, homes, job sites. The lynchers were done it, and people known them openly in public, and they were never prosecuted for it. Most of the states in the South, Midwest, and the North had lynching victims. The police in those counties never did anything for the victims. Believe me, the complex that black Americans felt powerless. That is why they had so strongly to self-segregate. Images were sent on postcards. Postcards were sent in letters. Letters were sent all around this country of their victims. Think about it. We had open murders, open sexual assaults, and no one did anything about it. To this day, I think it's the main reason why we have distrust in law enforcement. The dissent that what was going on to lynching victims took place all across this country, different spans and time frames. So if you are Black American, from the ancestral root that you've seen lynchings happen, how can you have faith in law enforcement will do their job? Lynchings were done daytime, openly, mothers, children, and victims. It was an element of rituals that was photographed and sent across this country. The history of lynching is one of the most undertaught subjects in the United States history. We mention it as a footnote. Lynching happened, this is what happened, but we never mention the severity, the power struggle, and the power dynamic that actually happened when these events occurred. It was done to psychologically wound Black Americans, to let them know, even though you've made such progress in this country, you are still a nigga. Let's talk about these things in the videos, and let's make sure we amplify. Round this way at King Crowder's channel, we tell the truth unapologetically. That is the only way we can heal as a country. Tell the entire story, not partially, not halfway. That is the first step to us healing as a country. Lynching, the effects are still being felt. Think about it. It happened only 2 generations away. It happened only 2 generations away. I hope you learned something on how lynching and the power dynamics actually work. I make these videos to educate you because I realize that our history system underachieved and did not tell us the full scope that we should have learned. This is American history. I don't believe in calling it Black history. This is what happened in this country. If you love this content, smash that subscribe button and make sure you share this content to people who are curious. It's your boy King Crowder, checking back out with another edition of History You Did Not Know and things that were not taught in detail for sure.